thank you so much for joining us tonight. What a great discussion tonight. Good debate. Can you just, tell us a little bit more about yourself and Vendorcom, what you do here, what actually qualified you to be here tonight with us?
Well, I think it's pretty grand to say I'm qualified to be here, but I've spent quite a bit of time in the industry over the last sort of 15, 20 years, and actually longer if you look at the merchant community, because that's where I spend most of my time. I've been in the retail sector for 30 years, and in the payment sector for the last 15 or 20. So I run an organisation called Vendorcom, which is a forum and a hub that brings together the key players in the payment sector. I also sit on the UK Payment Systems Regulators Advisory Forum, and I'm the European Ambassador for the World Wide Web Consortium for Payments. So gives me a little bit of an insight and a bit of a perspective that, I think is unique.
Look at PIS Payments, how far do you see we're at with PIS Payments in retail?
Actually, we're really at the very, very earliest of stages. I think most merchants aren't even aware that this new form of direct bank-based payment exists, and I think they're focused on card payments as being that predominant payment method. They're concerned about where the dynamic happens between cards and cash, and yet we know, because we're in the industry, that there's this great new tsunami about to hit, and the real question is whether it will completely overtake cash, particularly cards, or whether it will just very gradually replace that, just displace it perhaps over time.
Really interesting observation. So we see some sort of uptake with e-commerce payments, but how about physical payments?
So I think the low-hanging fruit is in the e-commerce area, particularly with things like strong customer authentication, creating only a little bit of doubt around the dynamics of card-based payments. But I think that e-commerce is definitely the first phase, and actually e-commerce and online payments for certain merchant market sectors. So I don't think it applies as a blanket across all merchants. I think public sector, insurance, perhaps utilities is one of the main areas to really focus on at the onset. In relation to face-to-face payments, well, there's a real challenge because the CapEx infrastructure is already in place in most merchants with payment terminals linked to point-of-sale till systems. And so most merchants won't be wanting to get rid of that. In fact, they're going to have to keep that whilst they're offering card payments as a mechanism. So they're going to have to find a new interface mechanism, and it can be very simple, low capex options like finger vein or a camera taking authenticating the consumer that way, or reversing the process and the consumer reading a QR code or whatever on the merchant site. So I think we're still some time away. Like my initial, probably I would say skepticism, certainly conservatism about the merchant deployment of open banking based solutions, and I was saying maybe 8, 10, 12 years away before it really reaches its level of maturity. I'm bringing that a little bit forward, maybe saying 5, 8 years for e-com, probably going to be at the extended end of that, 10, 12 years before we're really seeing it in mainstream face-to-face retail.
Fascinating. So what would you say are the main concerns among retailers?
Well, at the moment, because retailers actually don't really know what the offering is, and actually the open banking community isn't seen as one coherent group of people that are offering a really clear set of solutions, the merchants are just caught in the headlights. Those that do know about it are just caught in the headlights of, well, there's something coming down the line. What exactly is this that we're trying to deal with? And so those that are right on the vanguard of things and understand what's coming down the line are then saying, right, do I really believe the main fallacies here? What I call the fallacies. The fallacy of cost. Are the costs really going to be cheaper than card-based payments? The fallacy of irrevocable payments. Is this payment really going to be irrevocable? Well, when the genie is out of the bottle, actually, it's probably a better analogy. Pandora's box has been opened with card payments, and consumer expectation is that they are protected for situations like Thomas Cook last week or whatever. Then they're not going to use a system. Consumers particularly aren't going to use a system that is essentially deficient in those protections. So until those are offered, we're not going to see the traction that we really could be seeing with open banking based payments.